Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Guratmeti Motiveda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sabha Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatoshmaham Om Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. Verse 39, we saw Arjuna having another question. At the volume. That doubt, that it's common, say so. I mean, I'm not very young anymore. I don't have much time. So if I do all this work and if I don't complete my spiritual journey, so it seems everything is going to be lost. So how can I stay motivated before this fact, that the death of the body, the physical body is unavoidable, and it may be coming in a few years or a few decades. So as we have seen, Krishna tried to calm Arjuna down, and he did so on the verse 40, saying that, O Arjuna, neither here nor hereafter there will be destruction for the person who has gone through this process of spiritual sadhana or spiritual effort, spiritual elevation. So if the effort is sincere, genuine, so nothing is lost. So that is the promise of Lord Krishna on the verse 40. A doer of all these good deeds, spiritual deeds, spiritual sadhana, will never be destroyed, will never decline spiritually. They will never attain an evil end, my son. So it's totally aligned, harmonized, conformed with the fundamental law holding this universe in place from the standpoint of the human jivas, which is cause and effect. So if you put good seeds on the soil, you must get good sprouts, good plants, and good trees, provide the environment is conducive or adequate for this growth, the growth of the seed. So the seed is the sadhana, the seed are the scriptures, and satsanga with a teacher and so on. So anybody who does plant the seeds of self-knowledge will never going to have an evil end. It's so clear. You understand? You are working for your spiritual elevation. So you are taking even Dharma into the equation, God into the equation. You are a spiritual religious person, a religious spiritual person, and nothing can go wrong. Oh, but if I don't finish my job in this lifetime, don't worry. The soul is one and the same. The individual soul is one and the same, traveling through several births. Oh, but I don't remember. Who cares you don't remember? You don't even remember the breakfast you had last week. Isn't it, Mark? I don't remember sometimes. It's just this fixation, I, the body, I remember, I am this body, I am this body. Forget about that. Just say, aham. I am limitless consciousness, having an human experience, as some people say nowadays. So Krishna just gave some consolation to Arjuna. Now, the scripture says Vedanta Shravana has got twofold benefits. This is the subject that it's very nice that I announced at the end of our last class. There are two benefits Vedanta offers, okay? Two palams. Mukhya palam, or primary benefit, and the second is called Avantaram palam, or secondary benefit. So he did not say anything. There are two palams, two benefits, the primary and the secondary benefit. Okay, so when a certain industry, they just going to manufacture something, they have to have raw materials and they want to produce something. But then they have secondary byproducts. And sometimes they don't know what to do. They put into the water and they give to the entire humanity. Okay, like some substance. But anyhow, there are some industries that in order to make something, they end up with bonus or byproduct. A coconut tree, for example, have the main benefit with coconut, but there are other benefits as well. There is a very complex essay, 300 pages on why coconut is called Purna Palam. So when you plant a mango tree, the primary benefit you expect is mango fruit. But there are so many byproducts. You get a shade of the tree, which is going to help in a hot climate like in India. Whether you know or not, Swami talking about something he read in the newspapers around the turn of the last century in the Theosophical Society, where there are plenty of trees. They have found that the temperature is 2 or 3 degrees lesser to the other parts of Chennai. So they discovered that the trees, the coconut trees, as a byproduct, produce shade and a lower temperature as well. There are a lot of byproducts in everything. So the same with Vedanta. The primary benefit is moksha, but there are a lot of byproducts that come even before moksha. For example, the roots of the trees are going to retain water. So you're going to have more water available for drinking. The surrounding area is going to be cooler. The water tanks of India is going to be fuller. There are several secondary byproducts besides the coconut itself. The same with any tree, like mango trees. The mango leaves as well. Vedanta Shravana also has got primary and secondary palam. What is the mukhya or secondary palam, the primary palam? If a person has got all the qualifications, the mukhya palam will be what? Will be self-knowledge. I understood the scriptures and I can say to myself, Aham Brahmasmi, and I am free and independent from the body-mind and the world experienced by the body-mind. But suppose the person does not have all the qualifications properly developed, and the person does not completely understand the teaching, and the person understands but does not retain the teachings. The person does not retain the teaching because there is impurities still in the causal body, in the subconscious mind, preventing the conscious mind to live from that perspective of knowledge. So is there something that you haven't got anything? No, there is a secondary palam that's called punyan or spiritual development or purification, refinement of the body-mind. No? There is a punya, development of qualifications. This is the palam. It's said to be a secondary, and it is there before self-knowledge and after self-knowledge. It remains there. So, in fact, self-knowledge is going to further develop more and more byproducts coming from the internalization of this knowledge, understanding in the scriptures. So this bonus that I sometimes represent as bonus, as byproducts of self-knowledge. The more you live from that perspective, the more purification is going to be experienced by the body-mind-sense complex. This is also referred as punya, spiritual growth, spiritual refinement. Krishna himself tells that in the 18th chapter, in the very last one who just allows the Gita to pass through his ears without knowing the Sanskrit Gita Parayana is also the very vibrations of the Gita. If it has fallen on him, there will be some benefit. That's the point here. So if one does not have all the qualifications and submits somehow to the teachings of Vedanta, which includes Bhagavad Gita, the very vibration of these concepts present as words, it somehow has an incredible effect to purify the listener, okay? So in fact, a lot of people come to my class in the weekend just because they enjoy this byproduct. They feel much more pacified and relaxed, easy, peaceful, and so on. So even if the person does not even understand, when you go to a class of Gita and it's all in Sanskrit and your Sanskrit is poor, so just the vibration is going to do, because it's a byproduct. The ultimate, the primary goal is understanding the teachings and getting this hard and fast self-knowledge that transforms one's special emotional personality. So therefore, just to listen to it already produce some punya, some betterment, okay, of the body-mind-sense complex. If you have done a special puja, what punya it would have given to you? The same amount of punya a Gita listener is going to get as a byproduct, just listening and getting the vibration of the teachings that one does not necessarily need to understand. It's like mantric repetition. A lot of people go to these gatherings in Tiruvannamalai, in which there are these chantings of the Vedas, and then the vibration is such. But we are there, the repetitions, the chantings, all in Sanskrit language or local language, we don't understand, but just to be there, immersed in that field, one feels so good, you know, you feel so elevated, so calm and purified. So that means what? Either you will understand the jnana, the knowledge, or you are going to get the minimum punya, or you get the full package, which is the punya, which is the further refinement or purification by going through the Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana. Either you get the self-knowledge in moksha, or you just get this betterment this improvement, this purification. So you are always winning. You're going to get at least this minimum punya, which is what everybody is working for as a good karma yogi. What do I want with a karma yogi? I don't want moksha. I want spiritual development, spiritual refinement, and so on. This is the minimum punya. Jnana, if it comes, great. Jnana, if it does not come, I have at least punya, spiritual purification, elevation, maturity, and so on. Punya, if you get, saga is going to come. So if you get punya, it's said that you go, after leaving this body, to a celestial loka, svarga. So therefore, what is your position now? You're going to get either moksha or svarga, which is a spiritual punya, which takes the individual soul to a nice vacation between two births, in which the vibration is higher, and there will be great bliss and love and satisfaction around your environment. Now Swami plays a joke and say, okay, now you guys, please come down and come to the next class. This is a win-win situation. Okay, you are always going to win. Manage to come here in spite of all difficulties. Sit here regardless of listening to the teachings or listening to the yakatya of your thoughts. But sit here because at least the vibration is going to calm you down. Of course, the best result is moksha. The minimal result is punya. Why to worry about this, Arjuna? So, this is what Krishna's question is. There is no downfall for those who are doing spiritual sadhana, and there is no higher sadhana than the Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana of Vedanta. Moksha is coming either in this birth or the next one, or in some future ones. There is no question of you having or suffering a spiritual decline or fall. Why? Because such a person, now putting up such an effort to elevate himself or herself spiritually, is a sincere sadhaka. She is doing a the highest possible effort, action, or living the highest and the most noble life possible, which is trying to gain knowledge through the Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana of Vedanta. Even listening to the teachings is a Mangala karma, which Christians called in the fourth chapter as Jnana Yajna. So that's why Swami Shimayananda, when he started teaching Gita in the public, he called Jnana Yajna. Gita Jnana Yajna. In the fourth chapter, as I was unfolding this chapter 4 in Portuguese language, I got a better, more clear understanding of why this distinction to call these sadhanas of yajanas, not only sadhanas. And yajanas are sadhanas, from what I understood at the time and from what I remember. What defines this yajana is the fact that devotion, love for the creator, is involved in that process. It is a sadhana permeated with a lot of religious attitude. So you go to Gita and you're going to be a religious person. And this is a Vedanta camp, which is permeated with a lot of religious karma yoga attitude. Gita, Yana, Yajna, and initially when the people heard Yajna, they thought that there is going to be Homa, Kunda, da, da, da. So why? Because this word Yajna is associated with some rituals in which they use even fire and so on. Even now there are people having confusion about that. Why Shimayananda is calling this a camp of Vedanta on the top of Yana, Yajna. Even though some oblations are involved, this Yana Yajna will give as much punya as any other rituals, Vedic rituals, which involves karma. So he's saying that not only it is a religious spirit behind all these sadhanas, but the yajna is there as a byproduct, exactly as if you would be doing all the rituals and ceremonies to get punya. That punya is the minimum result that one gets with Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana of Vedanta. If you go to the ritualistic chapters or portion of the Vedas, you're going to get at the most punya. If you come to Vedanta, you're going to get at the minimum punya. Only Yanan and Yan alone was going to give you self-knowledge, because you are already the self. You just need to clearly understand that and what it means to be the self, to be the Atman. Therefore, Kalyana Krit is equal to Mangala Karta. So the result is the same. It's just by different means. You're going to get this benefit just by knowledge, understanding, following the teachings of the Gita and the Upanishads. But the final, the primary, the ultimate goal is moksha. Okay, and then he talks about some Sanskrit words that mean so many things. Such a sadhaka, such a spiritual, religious person will never have a downfall, he's saying to Arjuna, to all of us, and certainly she will go up, they will elevate, whether to celestial lokas or they are going up to moksha, which is the end of traveling, the end of going through these lokas just to come back to this physical material dense structure. That alone is the question. So whether you go to Svarga, or if you go for moksha, but there is no question of any downfall. Okay, takes us to the verse 41. Anything from you guys on this topic?
Quite reassuring, of course.
Yeah, very much so. And even just attending the classes, sometimes I come into the class with the mind rajasic, and when I leave the class, the mind is always sattvic. So just that alone is punam.
Yeah. That alone is punyam. I like the statement because I have experienced it firsthand, and there is no purifier such as Yana, such as exposing the mind to these teachings, because the teachings are revealing and declaring the true nature of the mind as limitless consciousness, and then the mind just wow, wow. So if that's so, if I'm already whole, full, and complete, why I'm chasing things as a means to complete myself, And then you have that high during the classes. That high tends to fade as we go back to hyperactivities or distractions. But the purpose is that we seeing that high, we need to further inquire and ask ourselves, so if I am Satchitananda Brahman, why I'm still chasing people, place, things, and circumstances as a means to complete myself? That is the homework, the inquiry, the vichara. Having attained the words of righteous people, and having lived there in this celestial locus for many years, so to speak, one who has fallen from yoga is reborn in the family of the cultured and prosperous. And then he gives us another consolation prize or reinsurance. It's like, so if you live such a life as a spiritual religious person, you are not chasing the subtle material world or the gross material world. You are seeking to accomplish spiritual growth, elevation. Having attained these higher lockers, you find yourself with a lot of higher souls, righteous souls, living there. And then you're going to enjoy this celestial experience for some time. This is the heaven that all religions talk about. So for some time, you're going to be there. And so one who has fallen from yoga is reborn in the family of the cultured and prosperous. So I have to see what he makes of this sentence here, one who has fallen from yoga. Because there is no question of falling. There is question of elevating yourself to the extent that you get the primary punya, which is, spiritual elevation and swaga, going to heavens and experience a nice vacation in one of these beautiful celestial colonies, with like-minded people. There is no question of falling, but if you believe that you have fallen because you came back again to Earth, you came back again to another planet structure with similar density, don't worry, you're going to be reborn in a better family, in a better culture, in a better circumstance in which the society is going to be more prosperous and happy. Meaning to say your growth is going to accelerate in your next birth, and on top of that, you're going to spend some time in heaven, in one of these heavenly colonies. So in this verse, Krishna tells what happens if such a seeker leaves the body before completing. Before death, he continues this spiritual sadhana, and therefore that is not discussed here. He is doing spiritual sadhana until the last breath. The last breath should be permeated by this inquiry, Okay, so who am I? What's going to happen next? Am I going to dissolve in the ocean of Brahman as Brahman? Or am I going to come back to duality? So before that, the spiritual soul continues doing the spiritual sadhana. Therefore, that is not discussed here. Krishna is discussing Marana Anantara Gati of such a person. Such a person means yoga brahta, that is, she could not succeed in spirituality. He made a noble, serious, sincere attempt, a very, very sincere attempt to overcome one's limitations, one's impurities. one it was very seriously involved in this process. But somehow he or she could not succeed in completing and getting this knowledge, which she supposedly could put an end to more reincarnation. What will happen to that person after that? And as I said before, this person has acquired lots of punya because of his spiritual, sincere efforts. The very Vedanta Shravana, the very Gita Shravana. You see, the very Gita Shravana. I sometimes tell people that Gita is Upanishad. Gita is Vedanta. So we need to go through Gita in the same way we go through the Upanishads. How so? Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. So the very Gita Shravana, the very Gita Parayanam has given him so much punya as a byproduct or as a minimum benefit. As a second benefit of that punya, he will go to one of these heaven, one of these celestial colonies, and therefore punyam kritam lokam prapya. Here, those people who have done much sadhana, sincere seekers, religious spiritual seekers, where they go, the very same loka this person also goes. Here he talks about those other people who have done great yagas, and he mentioned a few other things. I don't know, I did not research to see the meaning of these words. If you know, Lino or more, but it could be different kind of sadhanas that produce the same kind of punya that you get in the Shravana Manana of the Vedantic teachings. Can be rituals, can be, charity work, or anything that gives you punya. So the Vedanta will get the same benefit and will go to the same kind of lokas. Even though he has not done any of those things that involving actions or words, he has done just the process of Shravana and Manana. He just left behind all physical and verbal rituals. His focus is studying Gita and the Upanishads. He's going to get the equivalent of many rituals, yagas, and yad. So all of those things, there is an expression that says that here, so I'm presents that one. Represents this one. Any one of those rituals is very studies of the Gita is equivalent to all yagas and yajanas and nama japan. There is a Swami who quotes says that in a verse that 1 minute of Vedanta Shravana is equal to 100 of yagas, or hundreds of yagas is accomplished, the equivalent result in 1 minute. You're listening to 60 minutes, so it's equal to 60 multiplied by 100. So you are getting a lot. He's saying to calm down Arjuna's mind. All those punyas will come by Vedanta Shravana. The idea is that this itself is equal to a sacred Kama Yoga only. Therefore, punya kratam. Okay. The point here is that the highest sadhana possible is Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, as presented by Vedanta. All the scriptures, which include the Gita, is the highest possible, and it produces more punya than any other ritual, provided the person is attracted and is qualified to really, follow through with the Shravana, because Manan must follow. I totally believe in this statement that there is no purifier such as the teachings of Vedanta. Okay, then there is a lot of Sanskrit here. I also say that Krishna is there teaching Arjuna. Arjuna is getting so much punya, he cannot imagine how much punya we are getting by being in contact with the teachings of Vedanta. We're going to enjoy Svaraga Loka, We're going to enjoy those pleasures of celestial lokas at the minimum. And then when we are born again, we're going to be born in a higher, more elevated, better condition, on another physical material structure to continue to process our karma. Then his primary desire was what? His desire was not to enjoy Svagaloka. He studied Gita Upanishad and he want moksha and moksha and moksha. I want only moksha. But, first of all, it's easy to say I want moksha. But another thing is to genuinely want moksha. Because to want moksha is equivalent of the dissolution of the individual soul. The best metaphor is the river merging into the ocean to lose its identity as an individual river. So you just merge into your higher nature, and the scriptures say that by doing so, you can never come back as an individual because you have claimed and merged, quote unquote, in Brahman, in consciousness as consciousness. So if one wants moksha, one needs to know that the scriptures say it's the end of coming back. And a lot of people say, oh no, this is too much. I want punya. I'm okay with the byproducts of this Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana. First, because I enjoy to live in duality, and I'm ready to come back. I would like to come back, but I want to come back with more punya in my pocket to find better circumstance, better culture, better place, and so on, because I enjoy duality, right? You need such a, it's almost weird to say, you need such a variety, such a dispassion, a kind of positive disinterest in all of this to say, okay, enough. You understand? Enough. You never know what a new birth could bring, but we know that come down here is to experience pleasure and pain, pleasure and pain, pleasure and pain. All opposite parts are there to be experienced by every incarnated soul. So how much we want to really dissolve our sense of identity, never to come back. So we say, I want moksha. Okay, try to understand what it means, moksha, and if you really want moksha. If you really want moksha, and then you have to prove it. If you die consciously, you have to die with a smile in your face and with your heart full of gratitude for all these trips, all these incarnations. don't worry. If you don't get your moksha, Bhagwan will give you an appropriate birth work for continue your spiritual sadhana. Therefore, Krishna says, yoga brasta, who was a failure in this purva yanam, that he is reborn. So he presents a fall or a failure not to attain moksha. Okay. So in that verse, as in that perspective, as if you have failed to accomplish the end of your journey into as an individual soul, which means the dissolution of the sense of identity. I am the body mind, I am the individual soul with my likes and dislikes. So if that happens, where is this person going to be reborn? There are two possibilities. First possibility, the person will be born again in a family with a spiritual family, a dharmic family, in a dharmic society in which everybody is more or less prosperous and cultured, and dharma is there, values are there. It's beautiful. It's totally different from what we find in our planet nowadays. Everybody is given to noble actions and words, and so not only born in a culture, but in a prosperous and dharmic family as well. So, and why is Krishna saying so? Because only in a family such as this one described, there is a scope for further pursuit of spirituality. So this is an important point, which explains us the importance of protecting Dharma and trying to reestablish Dharma, exposing the violators of Dharma. Anybody who has this inclination has a certain warrior within. The only difficulty is that there is so much misinformation nowadays that we can easily, believing that I'm working to protect Dharma, we may join the army of Duryodhana, think that the Dharma is on the other side, The most common thing nowadays, there is so much confusion. I always have this curiosity why people like Bhishma and Drona, they were said to be very, very cultured and dharmic people, moral people. Why they end up in the Duryodhana's army? So here in that, talking to James, he said, "Oh no, because they were manipulated and they have given their word, they have made a promise. The one gave a promise to the wife and this and that, and then they found themselves in a situation in which they had to join Duryodhana. This is equivalent to being manipulated, being deceived. You understand? But even if you are deceived, there is always room for you to understand, I was deceived. And then now I'm going to no longer fight this war on the side of Duryodhana. To me, it presents an example of something that we see nowadays. There is so much confusion. There is so much division in humanity that people in both sides, they believe that they are fighting for Dharma, fighting for morality, and but somehow, in both sides there are good people, but both sides there are good people who somehow went through a process of doctrination that they lose discrimination between what is in fact Dharma and the Dharma. You understand? Propaganda, media, educations, schools, universities. Krishna says, because only if you have a good family, a good culture, prosperous, dharmic, you have a good scope for further spiritual development. If you are born in a condition in which there is a generalized war, how are you going to grow spiritually? There is only fear, panic, scarcity, worries, concern. The mind is going to be like this, totally disturbed. How to survive, how to survive. So we need to be born in a certain condition, circumstance, which is going to further facilitate my spiritual development. This is another byproduct of your punya. If you are living in such a society, living in war, how are you going to study Vedanta? When you know that there is a slum colony, knowing that there is no food there, how can you go there and talk to them about the spiritual life? It's going to the slums of Brazil, Rio de Janeiro. I mean, how are you going to talk about spirituality? People with that kind of state of mind, totally, I mean, many of them with criminal minds. Not all. There are some honest people there. They don't have the money to live decently in the cities. They live there, and they are somehow hostage of these criminal gangs in the slums. You know, it's very sad. Karma, we say. It's karma. They even have the small church there, you know, to help them to cope with that situation. Live in a place where there is, you know, bullets flying all over the place, people die like anything. Their own children join the gangs and die. If you go offering spirituality to these people, they kill you and say, "You kidding? You cannot go there in these slums in Brazil. Basic human conditions should be fulfilled first. Therefore, Bhagwan will give such a family, such a condition, such a birth in which you have the base." It's very difficult to grow spiritually when the conditions of the Dharma field are collapsing. I see it nowadays all over the world, but in Brazil, in my group, that things have become more and more difficult, and people are more and more occupied trying to find a way to get artha and karma, artha karma. Okay. Okay. Therefore, the person will be acculturated in the next birth, living in a prosperous family, which is ideal for further spiritual sadhana. The person can do more of niskama karma. He's going to do actions for the benefit of the group genuinely. He can do more service because Dharma is well established out and in one's mind as well. Money is not a problem. When you have artha, a karma, and then Dharma will follow. Okay, this is nice. When you have your basic needs, your basic entertainment, and then you have a mind that can go into Dharma. Then the person will use the money for noble activities, not to accumulate billions like Bill Gates and call oneself, how you call that? Anthropologist. Anthropologist? That? No, who can say that? That does charity. Sylvia?
I can't remember the word. I know exactly what you mean, Arlinde, but the words left me.
Lynn has remembered.
Well, you know, it's funny. At my age, the words don't always come. But a benefactor is somebody like that. Yeah.
Sylvia,
I know it.
Sylvia, you remember the name I'm looking for here?
No, 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 don't remember.
It's people do that when they are super rich to avoid tax and to develop a certain better image with the public.
Is
They
philanthropist.
philanthropists, thank you. It's all fake. Okay. In the Puva, in the last birth, in this previous or this current birth, the person may have failed because of lack of some qualifications. Now that all those qualifications will be complete in your next birth, therefore, there is a second possibility, which is still rarer. And Krishna says in the verse 42, there is another possibility. If you don't complete your journey, but you develop a lot of punya. Otherwise, the person will be born in the family of wise sages themselves. Such a birth is very rare indeed in the world. So it means to say that, take the case of Ramana Maharaj, or someone like that, one of those very, very extremely rare births, and Swami Paramarthananda sometimes refer to this birth as spiritual genius and so on. So you either being born in better circumstances to carry on your sadhanas and complete your journey, or you're gonna be burned in such a way that you will be seen as a spiritual genius. This is the second possibility. But for one who has failed in the last birth, after having enjoyed Svargaloka in heaven, for he or she, there will be a new birth. Those who are already yanis, Brahma Yani Nahash, those who are already yanis, so in the family of yanis, you're going to be born. And who may not be and who will not be prosperous in the material sense, because they are yanis, they live a simple lifestyle. Okay, so the other possibility, you not only you are born in a cultured dharmic family, okay, moral family with good spiritual religious value, but now, and prosperity, that you don't never need to be concerned about money, but now you will have even a higher birth, which is you are born in a family of yanis that they are not rich materially, but they have the richness, the highest richness possible, which is spiritual wisdom. So when there is yana, poverty will not be considered papa. Of course not. In fact, the yanis, they are never much concerned about being rich. Never much concerned about security or anything, Why to have more than what you need? When there is yana, poverty will not be considered papam. It will be considered as an ideal condition for following my sadhanas or living my lifestyle. How so? I just enjoy whatsoever needs to be unfolded, or just doing my pujas, my chantings to the Lord, or just sharing this knowledge to others. There is no problem. And you do not have to especially practice any sadhana because you have to have something to renounce. Therefore, I need to work for sannyas. Let me understand better this passage here. And you do not have to specially practice sannyasa. Okay, sannyasa is not something you need to practice. Because renunciation is possible only when you renounce something you have. The ultimate renunciation, we know, is to renounce the I and mine. Okay, so you may have your house, no problem, but renounce the feeling of attachment that says, this is my house, rather than this is the Lord's house, and the Lord's house has blessed me with the possibility of living in it. So if you are so much detached, you have nothing to renounce because you have transferred the title of everything you have to the Lord. Bhagwan has himself made one born as a sannyas. Sannyas is of two kinds. There is the exterior sannyas that lives like that in an ashram, in a gurukula. And there is the inner sannyas that may even have still a house and family because it is grihastha sannyas, as we have seen in certain passages of the Gita. He remains in grihastha, but he developed the spirit of a sannyas, no attachment. Meaning to say, if food is not there, it is good for upavasa practice. It will be considered a blessing as well. If he loses certain things, it's less possession to take care about. So this person will see, this person who was born in a Yanis family, the person who was blessed with self-knowledge, sees freedom from worry. Therefore, to be born in such a family of Yanis is incredible. It's an incredible punya or byproduct of a new birth, which is very rare. Not only you're going to have Yanni parents and you're going to have good teachers around you that you're going to be able to choose and pick. Your parents, they just associate to all the Yannis, more or less. You're going to have access to wise sages. Watch the advance. You don't need to go around and wait for the proper karma that is going to allow you contact, association with the guru. The father and the mother is already guru, but I don't want to be taught by them. Okay, and then just choose one of the people they associate with. How convenient it is. In Taittiriya Upanishad, it said, it's present in the form of dialogue between a father and a son. How nice it would be if we would see it nowadays, says Swamiji. Nowadays, we live in such a conflicting culture that children and father, they only fight for property and other things. Then it will be a dialogue of Vedanta instead of fighting and quarrel for business decisions. Krishna says such a birth of a child is very rare. Why? Why it is so rare? Because the yanis themselves are very rare. Now here in that Swamiji says that, Unfortunately, it's very rare at this time we live in this planet Earth. The entire Sampradaya is under attack. Materialism has taken hold of this civilization. So there are two kinds of yanis, the sannyasi yanis and grihastha yanis. In sannyasi yanis, there, grihastha yanis, there, among them also, the person could choose to be a grihastha or a sannyasi. All of these is very rare. And in that family, a birth is even rarer, because you have to find parents that are yanis that somehow has procreated. Because more often than not, the yanis, they are no longer as attracted to sex as the anyanis. In the previous verse, one is still more difficult to be born, prosperous culture, family. So in the previous verse, it said you're going to be born in a better family, better culture. But this one, it talks about a yani family, which is very rare. It's the greatest possible blessing as far as birth. So what is the next question? Okay, let's finish this one here. Just one more paragraph here. What is the next question? I get a conducive birth for spiritual sadhana. Then the next important question is, should I start the spiritual sadhana from the scratch, or I begin already from an advanced stage? I'm going to make use of everything that we have gained before? Of course not, because you forget everything, but you don't forget because it's there in your subconscious causal body, howsoever you want to call. Your body mind is under the influence of a certain wisdom which is already deposited in your causal mind. That's why you are born and you grow as a child with a certain characteristics that distinguish that child from others. Is this child going to start the spiritual sadhana from the scratch? Or will be the continuity of everything he has accomplished in terms of the spiritual wisdom? Whether it is from the first to the seventh chapter of the Gita, next class of the same class. Similarly, the base question, should I start spirituality from the scratch or from where I have acquired from previous births? Now, the question is simple, of course. Nothing is lost, Krishna says during the teachings of the Karma Yoga in the second chapter. For a Karma Yogi, no sadhana, no actions are wasted, because you are growing, you are developing, you are purifying. And this spiritual purification, refinement, or elevation of the individual soul is something that is not lost. The action that produce mundane results, the results may be lost, like, oh, I got a new business, I'm doing okay, and then you may lose. But the spiritual growth is never lost. And then, of course, the next janma, it's going to be from where you stopped before, no? Because the growth is never lost. The person is going to be born with advanced spiritual wisdom, not understanding why I have this spiritual unconscious tendency towards spirituality. Why I have this unconscious tendency to not be caught up in what this world offers, the samsara offers to us. The person is born but as a spiritually evolved soul. In fact, such people are called spiritual geniuses. So from this, we come to know a very important thing. The spiritual genius of today's birth, is a failure in the previous birth, Oh, you a spiritual genius in this birth, it means that you failed to complete your journey in the previous one. So what is the the meaning to be inferred here is that I fail you. If I fail in this yana, I may be a genius, spiritual genius in my next birth. That's why people nicely said the best way of catching a bus is giving up the previous bus. Previous bus, if you miss for the next bus, you are saved because you were there sufficiently early for the next bus. These are nice analogies that they have such a significance within the Indian culture of 20, 25, 30 years ago. Those buses are packed with people. If you miss moksha in this birth, you are going to be sufficiently early prepared in the next birth not to miss it. It means that spirituality starts from early life itself. Early life itself, that's going to be said in the next verse directly from Lord Krishna. Okie dokie. So, anything from you guys? We this somehow reinforce the notion, the logic that living a life for spiritual elevation is the best game in town. You are going to be a happier person now, and you are prepping for even not only, these celestial colonies in between births, but you are producing punya so that you may complete your spiritual journey in the next birth. Nothing to be concerned about. Okay? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishate Om Shanti 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 Om. Namaste. Tomorrow is Tuesday, so we're back tomorrow with the Gita still. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you, Arlinda.
Thank you.
Thanks.